They are the insiders, Chris Johnston, Pierre, LeBrun, and Darren Dreger. Gentlemen, when Craig Conroy was the AGM in Calgary, he watched as Johnny Gaudreau played out the final year of his deal and then walked away, leaving the Flames empty-handed. And now that he's general manager, is Conroy trying to avoid a similar fate involving a number of key guys going into the final years of their deals, Chris?
Well, he certainly prioritized getting some answers from the pending UFAs for the 2024 summer, because that's going to impact what he does now. And I think the biggest piece that the Flames are looking at as they enter this offseason is Elias Lindholm, their top-line center. My understanding of where things sit with Lindholm is there have been discussions between his camp and the Flames. I believe there are more discussions planned. And at this stage, there has been no indication one way or the other whether Lindholm would like to stay. I think he's open to the idea, depending on the contract, but it seems like that's still in the early stages. Where this gets interesting is I don't know to what degree it depends on the other decisions, and there's a little more clarity there. Michael Backlund, a longtime member of the Flames, has indicated that he wants to let things play out here. He's not going to look at signing an extension immediately come July 1st and wants to see where the Flames end up. Tyler Toffoli in a similar boat, and as a result, it sounds like the Flames are at least open to exploring what he might bring back in a trade. And then finally, Noah Hanifin, as Pierre LeBrun reported last week, he's not going to sign, and he's another candidate to be traded.
A lot going on in Calgary. Look, we already knew that the Winnipeg Jets are moving on from Connor Hellebuck and Pierre-Luc Dubois because neither has any intention of re-signing with the club. We also understand Blake Wheeler's on his way out. Is it now just a matter of figuring out the best way to make that happen, Pierre?
Yeah, I think that's exactly where things stand right now. You know, Dregs has been all over this story. And, you know, we've talked about the fact that a buyout has been a possibility all along for the former Jets captain, which tells you a lot about how hard it is to move money in this frozen cap system. But I think there's been some confusion about what's going on here. This isn't about the Jets desperately trying to get rid of Blake Wheeler. This is two sides working together. Blake Wheeler wants a fresh reset just as much as the Jets want to try and make that happen for him. And so his agent and Kevin Shoveldayoff really working together here. So that could come in a couple forms. One, it could be just a natural trade. Two, a buyout. But three, could also be a trade to a team where that team buys him out, as we've seen in the past with other teams. A little harder to do. But the bottom line is the buyout window closes next Friday. The decision has to be made by then. Wheeler will not be playing for the Jets next year.
Well, it's become a well-known fact that Canes ownership is pretty careful about how they spend their cash. And now, Darren, that philosophy could affect what happens with Jordan Staal?
Right. And look, simply put, things can change with a phone call, especially this time of year. But as far as the captain of the Carolina Hurricanes, Jordan Staal, is concerned in his negotiation with the Hurricanes, they're at an impasse. Now, again, things can change relatively quickly, but this was an extension that was supposed to be done almost 10 months ago. I believe that Jordan Staal's camp has supplied the Carolina Hurricanes with a number of options, so they're trying to be as flexible as they can, but they need the owner of the Hurricanes, Tom Dundon, to move from his position. If he doesn't, we absolutely could see Jordan Staal as a free agent on July 1st.
Brad Treliving has a lot on his plate in Toronto right now, and because his to-do list is so long, is there a chance it could cause some issues for Michael Bunting, Chris?
That certainly seems to be the case right now. I mean, Michael Bunting, it's no secret. He's a hometown guy, would love to remain with the Maple Leafs. But at this point in time, there have been no substantive negotiations between his camp and the Leafs. And really, as we get this close to July 1st, it seems to imply that a player who scored 23 goals each of the last two seasons, primarily playing on the Leafs top line, is likely headed to the marketplace. The Leafs have not formally closed the door on Bunting, but you know, they feel that it's going to be a pretty busy marketplace out there for him, and it's going to be hard to keep him.
Just minutes after Florida watched Vegas parade the cup around the ice, we started to hear how badly beaten up the Panthers were. Could that long list of injuries affect what Florida does on the trade front, Pierre?
It probably just adds more urgency to what was already going to be the plan, which is Florida was always going to try and upgrade its blue line this offseason. But now, yeah, with Aaron Ekblad and Brandon Montour missing the start of the season with injuries, they're going to try and really upgrade that blue line. A player that other teams are phoning about is Anthony Duclair, knowing that Florida needs to go get a top four defenseman. Duclair has another year on his deal at $3 million, a bargain for a guy that can score you 30 goals. They don't really want to move him, Florida that is, but they know that they might have to go get a top four defenseman. Keep an eye on Noah Hanifin that we talked about earlier.
Guys, as soon as the buyout window opened up last Friday, the Vancouver Canucks immediately bought out Oliver Ekman Larson. What's the latest on his search for a new team now, Darren?
Well, he's looking forward to seeing what that market looks like. Like most players, he wants to land on a contending team, but the fit has to be right, and it has to be comfortable for Oliver, Ekman, Larson. Now, the term is going to be interesting. Depending on the level of interest, it could be 1 year, it could be as many as 4 years. And don't make the mistake of thinking because the Vancouver Canucks took the glut of the salary in the buyout that he is going to be moved or at least signed as a cheap, experienced defenseman. That may not be the case. It'll be dependent on how much interest is there.
We thought it was going to be busy, and it certainly is that, and then some. They are the Insiders, Chris Johnston, Pierre LeBrun, and Darren Dreger.